Okay, I'll start now. So welcome to session 11 of the Logic and Linguistics Club. I'm going to go over a quick review of the Linguistics Olympiad. So NACLO is the competition that determines which students get to participate in the IOL, which is the International Linguistics Olympiad. So NACLO, which is the North American Computational Linguistics Open Competition, it's broken up into two rounds. One of them is the open round, and the second one is the invitational round. For the open round, anyone can participate. You just have to register. And the top participants from that open round get to be invited to the next round. And from that round, they determine who gets to participate in the international competition. So how to prepare for NACLO? The first step you can do is take a foreign language class that is offered in your school. This could be Spanish, French, etc. So this can help prepare you for the differences between our language and languages in other countries. So you can just get familiar with this concept. The next thing you could do is read some linguistics textbooks. So on the NACLO official website, they have a reading list. So you can check those out and see which books you would be interested in and just buy them and then read through them. The third thing to prepare for NACLO is to read through the 2022 handbook. So every year before the competition, NACLO comes out with a handbook with some general information about the test. For example, like how many problems there are and what style of problems. So you guys should read through this definitely before taking the test so you know what to expect. Then the most important thing to practice is the problem. So here, if you go to this link or just go to the official website, you can find the practice problems and just they have the ones from every single year of the test. So you can just take a look at that. Another thing you can do is to watch the Olympiad Workshops Linguistics Olympiad video that I made for Logistem a few months ago. And this just covers some of the general information of the test. And I think I reviewed some practice problems in that video. So these are all some things you can do. Okay, so some dates. Again, the registration opened a few months ago, and I believe it stays open until mid-January, so right before the test. So if you're interested in doing NACLO, definitely sign up before the registration closes. Then NACLO 2022 will be on January 27th, as of now, what they say. And then the invitational round will be March 17th. So these are just some dates to keep in mind. Okay, we're just gonna get into the practice problems then. So the first one here is called the lost tram and it's worth 20 points. So here they give you 3 paragraphs of text and there's some errors in these texts, so they're not what the author meant to write. So your goal is to find these errors and restore the original text and then say for each of these errors why they occurred. So there's a pattern to the errors and you just have to find them and then also rewrite these so that they make sense. So I'm going to stop sharing really quick and I'll copy paste the link into the chat for this problem so you have it. And then I guess I'll just put you guys in breakout rooms so that if you have any questions, you can ask each other. Okay, so that's the problem. Then if everyone clicks the link, I'm going to put you guys in breakout rooms. Okay, so just join those. And if you don't have the link, I'll also go into each breakout room and just put the link there as well. Okay, Charlotte, so here's the problem that we're doing right now. You're just gonna do part 1 and part 2, so F1 and F2, and I'll put you in a breakout room right now. So you have around 15 minutes to do the problem. Okay, we're just waiting for the rest of the people in the breakout rooms to join back. Okay, I think everyone is back now. So I'm going to go over this problem. Even though it's worth 20 points, I feel like this problem is pretty easy. So the first thing we have to do is find all the errors in this in these texts. So first, the one that I noticed is tram is actually train, because trams are like buses and this wouldn't really occur in a bus. So that you have to get context for that one, because tram is like a real word that could fit this situation. The next one is you sit down instead of you sit clown. So I'm gonna write it. The next one is no late comers. So I'm gonna write that on this side. And then another one is when the coast approaches and dinner is over. So there it is and then the last one is he is actually B. So everyone retires to his compartment to be transferred to the boat in peace, like that. So that's the first one. It's not too bad. You just have to read through this and figure out where each error is. Okay, for the next one, we have deer is actually fear. So how we could legitimately claim to have no fear of any man or beast. The next one is this he is the. So Howie knew in his heart that it was the vulnerable positions he ended up in that scared him. The next one is and is N, or not N, but Ann, like that. So now here he was, injured and alone, standing with an empty handgun in an open. Then this is field. And then instead of hid is his. While his opponents or opponents fried their, it's not fried, but fired. Fired their weapon from behind solid cover. So your corrections would be like this. Then for the last one, we have two other factors affect. So you would write it like this. Then instead of loose, it's lose. The next one is instead of there here, it would be a different there. So like that. And then there's also faster than, or the other than, like that. Faster than adults. And then here it would be except instead of except. So they're pronounced the same though, like that. Okay, so those are the corrections. For each of these different texts, there's different reasons why the deviations occurred. So for this first one, you can notice something here. In this one, for example, CL becomes D, but you notice here that D looks similar to CL. So one reason why this deviation could occur is because someone was reading this text too fast. So they might have saw CL as D, like you can see that here. And you can say the same for this, like RI becomes N. It kind of looks like that without, if you take out this I, they look similar. And then H and B look similar. I and N, if you took out this, you could kind of see that it could be an M. So that's basically how these errors came to be. For this one, the errors were basically just the person who is reading this forgot a letter or they changed a letter, or they switched the letters like that. So this could be because, for example, you know how if you're texting too fast on your phone, you could change, like, for example, S would be D or D would become F. So that's basically just an example of how this would happen. Or like if you're texting too fast, you could just misplace the letter and stuff like that. Then for this one, this would occur because they're changing the words to a word that has like a similar pronunciation but means something else. So like effect and effect, or there and there. So this could happen because if like a machine is doing voice recognition, they could just get the wrong word but it has the same pronunciation. So these are just the different ways. So for this one, you do have to write explanations for why for each of your answers. So this is kind of a different type of problem. So this one's pretty easy, I think. So does everyone understand, or does anyone have any questions? Okay, if not, I will go on to the next one. So yeah, here are the answers and the long explanations. But of course, on the actual test, I don't think you have to write all of this. You just have to write what you see personally. So this is just like an example of an answer you could put. Okay, the next question we're gonna do is called easy pieces. It's 15 points. So you're given these phrases in Bulgarian and the translations in English. So what you have to do is you have to figure out 3 rules that govern the formation of the plural of the adjectives and write each of them down. So you have to figure that out. And you also have to apply the rules from here and fill in the gaps here. So I'm going to stop screen sharing and I'll put the link to the problem in chat. Okay, so here's our problem. I'll give you guys a few seconds to just click it. So we're going to be doing part 1 and 2. I think there's a third part. If not, then just ignore that. But we're just going to be doing part 1 and part 2. Okay, so I'm going to go put you guys in breakout rooms again. You'll have around 15 minutes again to do the problem, and then I will bring you guys back to the meeting. Okay, when everyone comes back, I'm just gonna go over the answers, which are here as well. Okay, so everyone is back now. So I'm gonna go over the 3 rules for the plurality of the adjectives. So the first one is if the singular ends in en, then you just add I. So in the back, we have, this is the example here. You have an en at the end, so you just add I. The next one is if the adjective indicates from what matter the noun is made, then you also just add I. So they give you this example. They say bone needles. So you know that the needles are made out of bone. So they add an I here as well for plural. And then in all other cases, you drop the last E and you add an I to the end. So this was their example. You can see they got rid of the E at the end from this one, if you compare these two. So those are the 3 rules. Then from those, you can just find the adjective for these just based on here. So for the first one, ordinary procedures, you have this. So all of these have I at the end because that's just the rule for plurality. Then here you have easy lessons, then fish restaurants, then bone diseases, then linen sheets. I don't know why it's so weird here on the solutions. So for each correctly formed plural, they'll give 10% of the full score. And then if there's some spelling errors, they give you the full score still, I think. So for example, if you forget to write an N, I think they'll still give you the full score. So this is the solution for this problem. So we're gonna go do one last problem quickly called anaphora. So here we have 3 examples and the human says this question and then the computer attempts to figure out what they're trying to say. But here you can see that it doesn't really work out that well. So in the first example, we have, there's this restaurant on Bancroft that's supposed to be really good that I heard about from my mother. Can you help me find it? And the computer translates this as, where did you last see your mother? Which isn't what the human was asking. So based on this, you have to find out what are the words or phrases that the computer is misinterpreting for each example, and what rule is the computer using to interpret these words or phrases. So because we don't have too much time, I'm not going to open the breakout rooms and you guys just have 5 minutes to do these. So at 6:20, I'll go over the answers and then that'll just wrap up this week's workshop. Okay, so you guys can just start now. I'll leave this up. I'll also copy paste. Actually, I don't copy paste the link because the problem is just here already. Okay, I'm gonna go over the answers. Pretty straightforward. So for this first one, okay, these answers are actually wrong. I just looked at them. So for example one, what they misinterpreted is what it is. So instead of doing the restaurant, they interpret it as their mother. So that's wrong. For example two, they misinterpreted him. So instead of talking about the friend, they talked about movie databases, which is wrong. Then for the last one, it's them. So them actually refers to the parent. Then for the second part of this question, we have what rules are they trying to use to interpret those words or phrases? Okay, so here's this. If you got one correct, you got 0 points. If you got two correct, you got 1 point, and then three correct is 2 points. So then for B, the four, I guess you could pick between these four things. So the first one is interpreting pronouns as referring to the last noun phrase in the previous sentence. So for example, in this one, they interpreted it as the mother instead of the restaurant, which is an example of that rule. The second one is interpreting pronouns as referring to the previous sentence's first noun. The third one is interpreting pronouns as referring to a noun in the previous sentence with the same number or gender properties, and interpreting pronouns as referring to the previous sentence's subject. So I believe all of these ones follow the first one because they use the last noun subject in all of them, like camera, the databases, and the mother. So they just use the last noun, and that's how they misinterpreted, the computer misinterpreted it for all of these. So that was basically just this question. I believe there's a third part. So if you got the second part right, so F2, you would have gotten 2 points again, and then the last part is 1 point. So that's how you get this 5 points. So because it's 5 points, it's supposed to be a pretty easy problem. It's on the lower scale. So yeah, that's basically it. That's pretty much all I have for this workshop. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, if not, I believe next week's workshop is the last one of the Logistem Linguistics workshop. So if you want to check out our previous workshops, they are on the YouTube channel. All of them should be. I think there's one missing, but the rest of them are online and they are posted. The updated ones will be posted soon. And that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys have a good weekend and see you next week. Bye.